I was a police officer, and I think I witnessed an actual curse in a city in Virginia. There is one upscale neighborhood in our city with very nice homes. I was always told stories when I was a new officer that there was a doctor who used to live in one of the homes. The story goes, the doctor attempted to perform some type of operation on himself. He numbed his stomach area to make an incision on himself. But since he couldn't feel it, he accidentally cut far too deep and large and accidentally disemboweled himself. When officers and paramedics arrived, he was found barely alive, holding his own intestines, and ultimately died. Fast forward, I was assigned a call about a young female who was found dead by her old sister. When I arrive on scene, is it in the aforementioned nice neighborhood? When I exited my vehicle, I immediately had an uneasy feeling about the house. While nice on the outside, it just had bad energy surrounding it. As I approached the front porch, I noticed countless empty energy drink cans and a Ouija board on the front patio table. Everything about this house just felt wrong. When I was led inside, the family was obviously very distraught. I was told the deceased sister, we'll call her Emily, was in the basement. At this point, another officer had arrived also, and so he stayed upstairs with the family as I entered the basement. The basement was unfinished and was fairly dark, minus 2 pull-string light bulbs, one on each side of the basement. The scene in the basement was similar to the front porch. Energy drink cans were everywhere, and another Ouija board was on a small coffee table. Emily, who was 19 if I remember correctly, was hanging by her neck on a basement rafter. She had hung herself with an exercise band and was swinging back and forth slightly. Her face was blue, bloated, and contorted into a horrible expression. Another officer helped me lift her to bring her down. Emily's family consisted of her mother and father and her older sister. Her parents stated that they had been trying to help her because all she ever did was drink the energy drinks to stay up all hours of the night, playing on the Ouija board. Her sister gave a little more detail about it. Being sisters, she stated they were very close and told each other everything. Her older sister said Emily indeed had been obsessed with the Ouija board, drinking energy drinks to stay up all night and talk to what she believed was her boyfriend, who was dead. Her sister stated Emily had been saying that her boyfriend was begging for her to come join him in the afterlife, and so she believed that is why she did what she did. Now let me reiterate, this house felt wrong. Everything felt bad, and I had a very uneasy, sick feeling being in the basement, and not because of the dead body. Wasn't my first. This is a call that really messed with me for a while. We really never got much more explanation, and as cops, you kind of just have to move on to the next call. 2 weeks later, to the day, I got a call about a car accident with ejection. I head to the call code 1, lights and sirens, and arrived to find a convertible BMW with the top down, which had experienced an obvious horrible crash and rollover. It was sitting on its wheels, and in the driver's seat was a woman who clearly had a broken neck as her head was almost all the way turned around. Next to the vehicle, about 25 feet away, was a man who had been ejected. Keep in mind this was a convertible, so he was ejected from the top of the car. He was missing the entire top half of his head, and there were pieces of brain everywhere. I went to close off the scene with a yellow table. I walked about 75 yards away from the accident, where I found yet another large chunk of his brain. I'm not trying to be intentionally graphic, but I want to paint the picture of just how bad and violent this car accident was. Upon obtaining the man's ID, I read the information off to dispatch, and then another officer and I both realized the same thing at the same time. These 2 people were Emily's parents, who 2 weeks to the day just died in a horrible way. Breaking the news to the older sister was heartbreaking. I kept in touch with her for a little while. She had inherited her parents' estate and all of the life insurance money, etc. She ended up selling off everything and buying a different house to try and start over and repair her broken life. However, it doesn't end there. Around a month later, another officer was called after a pedestrian was struck by a car while she was jogging in her neighborhood. And yes, you guessed it, it was the sister. She managed to survive several weeks in a coma, but ultimately did not make it. If you're wondering why the story about the doctor is relevant, The house that Emily killed herself in was the same house the doctor lived in. I don't know what you guys think, but to me it definitely seems like either that house is cursed or Emily opened up something bad. That was a few years ago now, and I'm no longer a police officer. I moved a couple states away now. Twice now, I have found 2 different Ouija board planchettes on the sidewalk when going to check my mail. I never touch them, and usually use a stick or something to push them into the storm drain.